Hello everyone. How's it going? How's everyone's Saturday morning? Oh dear, risk of rain, third practice session is 80%. 80%. Wow. ADK, hope you're well. Yeah, it looks like we're going to have a very wet session. Hopefully we get some running. The F3 race earlier on, the sprint race was postponed just because of how wet it is. So, yeah, hopefully. Predictions. We said yesterday, I still think Lando. I think we're going to see Max and Lando go at it again this weekend, plus Piastri. Supposedly, the Mercedes were quite good on their long runs yesterday, but I still don't quite believe that. So, yeah. But I think it's definitely McLaren and the Red Bull Verstappen. So, hey, Shadow, Levy, Avix, Naz, good to see you guys. Good to see you. Morning, morning. Who's ready for FP3, eh? Who's ready for a busy day? It's gonna be it's gonna be a busy one. It's looking a miserable Silverstone today. I can tell you that. I can tell you that. There we go. Let's not squash up everything so much. ADK, Manly, yeah, Jay, 8:15 Saturday down under. Quality at midnight, Silverstone's always good, so worth it. Totally agree, Jay, totally agree. 8:15 at night, wow. I feel like my day's only just getting started. I just had breakfast. Time zones, man, always catches me up. Evening, Rad, Indonesia. Oh, well, it looks like it has stopped raining, guys. That is the important thing at Silverstone. They're at the Sky TV are doing their kind of intro from the pit lane. There's no umbrellas out. A few wet jackets out, though. So some raincoats, but yeah, we should get some running. And of course, these F1 cars, they do displace a lot of water pretty quickly. Yeah, I think it must have been still raining while the F3 was going out. So, yeah, a little bit worried about that. So the sprint race was postponed. I don't know if they're going to fit that in somewhere else throughout this weekend, or if they'll just completely postpone it. Malaysia, nice, nice. Do you want to see rain though? Well, as long as we've got a wet track. You know how F1 can be, the FIA can be when there's a wet circuit. They're very risk averse, understandably, because it's not so much that these drivers can't race in the rain, but they're not skillful enough to do so. It's purely the lack of visibility. It is just so much spray, you cannot see ahead. Even with the flashing lights of the brake lights of these F1 cars, they're very bright, but yeah, you can't. These new ground effect cars, I say new, they're not new now, but the ground effect era cars display so much spray for the rear diffuser. It's not so much the tyres themselves, it's because the majority of the downforce is created through the underside of the car. Whereas previous times, the majority of the downforce was over the car. So, yeah, understandably, with creating that downforce, sucking in all that air, it just displaces so much water out of the rear of the car. So yeah, until we move away from ground effect era cars, which supposedly the 2026 regs is trying to do again, kind of like a balance between what we had previously and ground effect now, we're not going to get as much wet weather racing as we'd like to. South Africa, stand up. Oi. Just joined Akram, good to see you. Did you hear the rumours that DR could replace Perez? Yeah, so this popped up, didn't it, overnight from Toby. Apologies, I don't know his last name. It's a German name, Grunheimer, something like that. He works for Amos, a reputable journalistic outfit, F1 outfit, automotive, motorsport, something. And yeah, supposedly there are strict performance clauses in Daniel Ricciardo and Sergio Perez's contracts. And in particular, with Daniel Ricciardo, if he is on an upward tick, he has, with his performance clauses, if he continues the trajectory he's on with his performances, and Perez continues with his poor performances, they are legally within their right to switch Perez out of that seat and put Daniel Ricciardo in the Red Bull, which is, yeah, crazy. Wish F1 would go back to Malaysia. I agree, Carl. Malaysia was a great circuit. Is it Sepang? What a circuit that was. Yeah, it's a travesty that's not on the calendar anymore. They're for real, Naz. Yeah, for real. That is what came out yesterday. Yeah. Supposedly, Carlos Sainz has let another deadline go by with Williams, and as we was discussing yesterday, the rumours are that Toto Wolff has extended an arm back out to Carlos Sainz for that seat next year. I think they're having slight reservations about promoting Antonelli too early into F1. And yeah, Carlos Sainz. Obviously, they're still trying to get Verstappen. But I don't think Verstappen's going to go anywhere next year anyway. I think if he goes anywhere, it would be in 2026. I don't know why he would leave Red Bull this year, unless something really isn't okay behind the scenes. As we know, his dad and Horner don't get on, and there's still a power struggle going on at Red Bull. But yeah, Carlos Sainz could be back at Mercedes, and that's what he's been holding out for, is a top drive. Even if it's a year, even if he gets given a year, I think he'll take it over the Alpine, the Williams, and the Audi, because that's all step back. Those are all backward steps. Whereas Mercedes, yeah, it's a year deal. If he smashes it in that year, he has a point. He's proved a point, and he has an opportunity to go, look, I'm still a top class driver, and maybe other teams decide to take him on as well. Hard to be jobless if he kept taking too long of a time. Yeah, but I think there's things going on behind the scenes that we're not privy to, obviously. Discussions being had, which is why he's holding out so long. So, it's understandable. I think he's a top driver, and I think he deserves to be in a top team. Very unfortunate to be losing his seat at Ferrari, but look, Lewis Hamilton's coming in. There's many reasons why, obviously, he's been brought into Ferrari. But yeah, all the other seats are kind of wrapped up. That's the problem. If the rumours are true, would you think Carlos would be in Red Bull alongside? No, he's never going to be alongside Verstappen. I think that ship has sailed. I don't think there's ever going to be those two together, because Sainz would be. Obviously, Verstappen's better than Sainz. I don't have that notion of that Sainz is better than some of the top drivers, but he would be closer to Verstappen in performance, that's for sure. He would worry Verstappen a bit more as a teammate than Perez does, and probably even Daniel Ricciardo now. Because Daniel Ricciardo isn't the same Daniel Ricciardo of old, and yeah, the dads also don't get on as well. So yeah, the friction there is like, yeah, it's not going to work. It'll be one or the other. Will 26 be fast in 2008? I have no idea about 26. The regs still aren't even solidified. It wouldn't surprise me if they actually go out and get delayed to 2027. You look at the history of every new reg that has come in, they always get implemented a year later than they initially were supposed to be brought in. So I think that's going to be the case here, because the teams are still not happy with the what's been put forward. So yeah, there's going to be rebuttals to that. And I don't think anything's going to be kind of agreed and signed up to until probably put into place until 2027. When's qualifying start? Not till this afternoon, TikTok. Not till this afternoon. We have practice 3 now, which is going to be a wet practice. That starts in just a few minutes' time. 5 minutes' time. Qualifying is on this afternoon at 3 p.m. UK time. So think of it as around, how many hours is that? 3.5 hours time, wherever you are in the world, that is when qualifying is going to start. Hey Terence, it's good to see you, mate. The only Verstappen they can get is Josh Verstappen. Do I think Max will go to Mercedes? And some of you say no. I say yes, I think he could go to Mercedes. Yeah, I genuinely think he could. That whole Horner situation behind the scenes is not wrapped up by any means. It's gone quiet in the public domain, but supposedly there's still a power struggle happening behind the scenes at Red Bull. Jos Verstappen still really doesn't get on with Christian Horner. Max, of course, the Red Bull, the rumours are that the Ford engine isn't particularly going well behind the scenes. Maybe they've made improvements, I don't know. But Mercedes are obviously going hard for Max. So yeah, I can see it happening. I think it's very rare that a driver stays at one team throughout their whole career. Look, Lewis has been at 2 teams as well. Obviously, he's been at Mercedes for so long. They want to be in the best cars, and with a new regulation set coming in, there's no guarantee that Red Bull are still going to be up there, and they're not going to have the Honda engine anymore. It's a big risk, and also personnel changes behind the scenes. You don't realise that when a team's dominated for so long, the personnel in those teams get pinched. They get headhunted by the other teams. They go for more money, and because the majority of the teams in the UK work in the same region, the Milton Keynes, the Midlands region of the UK, they're happy to kind of switch jobs. Switch into a team like Ferrari is a bit different because, of course, it means relocating to Italy. But in particular, yeah, the majority of those teams, I think it's 7 of the F1 teams, are in Motorsport Valley, they call it, in the middle of the UK. So, yeah, personnel are kind of changing all the time. But we don't really know about designers, engineers. Obviously, we hear about the management more so leaving than just people who have been on successful programs in F1 teams. And yeah, it's kind of the natural course of things that some dominance eventually comes to an end. So we'll see. It's cool racing when Max isn't in the Red Bull. Yeah, it'd be interesting. What's my predictions for the race? Well, obviously we'll make other predictions when we know what qualifying is going to be like this afternoon. But I still think Piastri, Norris and Verstappen are going to be fighting it out for the win here. Norris has looked good. I think Norris for the win. I'm going Norris for the win. Let's be honest, almost everyone in Red Bull are not on good terms with Christian Horner after that. Yes, exactly. But he holds a lot of power. Thing. He holds a lot of power, so that's why there's always not okay behind the scenes at Red Bull, but it's gone quiet. They've done very well to keep it under wraps. How do I think Joss and Toto will get on? God, I don't know. I don't know. Do you think Daniel's claims from 2017 that he could beat Hamilton in the same car were true? No. No, Daniel's been good, but I don't think Daniel's ever been on the same level as Lewis. Do I think it will be more small? Do I think it will be more smaller than when Max is by Mercedes? What do you mean by that, gamer? Daniel Ricciardo says press swap with Lando Norris involved in Red Bull incident. Is this rumours true? Yeah, so the rumours are, as we just discussed earlier, but yeah, there's performance clauses in both of Ricciardo and Perez's contracts. And they have the possibility that if they don't hit those... Daniel's on course to hit those performance targets, supposedly, if he continues this recent run of performance, of finishes. And Sergio Perez is on course to not reach his performance target. And if that happens, they'll be able to legally switch them out of the car. Do I see Carlos driving for Mercedes until 2026? I think so, yeah. I think that's what Carlos Sainz is aiming for. Even a year deal, I think he'll take at Mercedes. Because then he has an opportunity to prove himself in a year at Mercedes. Regardless of what they say, where they go, yeah, this is just strictly a year. You can change people's minds if you go in there and you beat George Russell and you fight for podiums and wins consistently. Which potentially he could do in Mercedes next year. Obviously, they're on an upward. They're on the up at the moment, aren't they, regards to their performance? So, yeah, I think that's what he wants. Anything tying into Alpine or tying into Williams and the Audi team, the new Audi team, is just a backward step for him. So we have green light, guys. Green light. Pit exit is open. FP3 underway. It is a wet circuit. Very cool track temperature, 16 degree track temperature. So we'll see. Humidity, 91%. So let's see who decides to go out there first and do the first sighting laps on this wet Silverstone circuit. How do I think Lewis will perform at Ferrari compared to Charles? I think he'll do well. Yeah, I think that we've said it a number of times on this channel and on these streams, is that the mentality of Lewis and George is very, very different at the moment, and that plays a factor into how you perform out on circuit. Lewis is coming from a high of fighting for world championships for the last 10 years, winning races, breaking records, to then not even fighting for podiums, fighting for 5th, 6th. That's not acceptable for his standards. George has come from the bottom of the team, fighting Kubica for 19th position, and is now in a team that is pushing for the odd podium every now and then. Obviously, they've had a couple of wins over the last 3 years. Like he has a much more positive attitude and outlook to things. He's taking on the #1 role this year, definitely, because of Lewis's leaving at the end of the season. And everyone knows as well, look, we've all been there. When we've handed in our notice at a job, we still do the job, but we don't do it to the best of our ability, do we? That quiet quitting type thing, isn't it? You do the bare necessity. And I'm not saying, obviously, Lewis is doing that, but I think even in F1, that we're only human. And I think there's an element of yeah, I'm not going to necessarily dig deep this time and get a result in every single race, especially if he knows he's having to try and tinker around with setup and chase performance and things. So, yeah, I think there's that element to it. And I think we'll see a resurgence of the positive Lewis. And I'm really intrigued to see how him and Charles get on in the same car. But interestingly, drivers out there on the intermediates. And I'm just looking at the TV coverage now. It is a wet circuit, but it has dried out quite a bit since the F3 race, postponed F3 race earlier on. So, yeah, definitely an intermediate. Not too many. It doesn't look like there's really any standing water, which, of course, the FIA don't like to have. So, is it raining? No, it's not raining at the moment. Yeah, it's just it is wet though. Lots of spray there is spray being thrown up. Some areas a bit wetter than others, but yeah, it's definitely drivable. And this could be look, as I said yesterday, FP2 yesterday could have been the last dry running we see all weekend, because the forecast does not look good for this weekend. Typical British weather, guys, is to be expected at Silverstone this weekend. Do I think Danny can get into the points again? Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I mean, look, it's all kind of to play for at Silverstone when there's a wet circuit. When it's dry, I think you see obviously the better performing teams come through, because they're the ones with the better aero packages, the better engine performance. But it's kind of like separates the men from the boys in regards to performance. Anyway, this circuit. But yeah, I think with it being wet, anything could happen. Lewis Hamilton will be relishing and probably hoping it's a wet race, because the Mercedes, he knows that maybe realistically the Mercedes, I don't think the Mercedes has an opportunity on outright pace to beat the McLarens and the Red Bulls, or Red Bull singular there. He'll be hoping for a wet weekend. I think. Hope the race will have rain. It's forecast to. Yeah, the race is forecast to next year. So, yeah, big thank you for everyone for tuning in. This is our first session of the day. FP3, we have qualifying later on. If you haven't already, please hit the like and subscribe button. Let's get this stream to over 100 likes, shall we? I think we had like nearly 700 of you in here yesterday. Not bad for Friday afternoon. But yeah, if you're liking these streams, please hit that subscribe button. We'll be back tomorrow as well, of course, for the race. What round are we in now, guys? What round is this? We've done every single race this year. Doesn't even tell me what round it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Round 12. So we're halfway through the season now. This is the halfway point in the season. Because 24 races this year. Or 24 race weekends. Because obviously we have sprint races as well. But yeah, halfway through. Wow. Where's that time gone? Where's that time gone? Think Charles going to give Lewis money? Yeah, I don't expect Charles to get pushed over. Not whatsoever. But yeah, it'll be intriguing. It's definitely a good driver pairing, isn't it? For sure. But Lewis would do better than Charles since his form is better since Canada than Charles, but Charles is the champion. Yeah, look, they both wear their hearts on their sleeves. They're both very kind of like emotional, I'd say. Their heads can kind of drop quite easily. But yeah, I think they'll feed off of each other. Obviously, Leclerc will be relishing the opportunity to go up alongside Lewis in equal machinery. And yeah, Lewis will be relishing. I don't think he'll be focused on Charles, but he'll be focused on driving for Ferrari. And ending his career on a high with that team. So qualifying's on in a few hours' time, Gabriel. This afternoon at 3 UK time, anyway. 2 header soon. Yeah, we have. So this is the end of the current triple header of Barcelona, Austria, and Silverstone. Now the British Grand Prix. Then we have a week's break. Then we have the Hungary Grand Prix, I think it is, Hungaroring. And then we have Spa. Now, in previous years, Spa was after the summer break. But this time around, or last year as well, Spa has been moved to just before the summer break. So we then, of course, have that 4-week break throughout August. And then we return in the last week of August to Zandvoort. So yeah, still plenty of F1 to be had in front of us, guys. Only halfway through the season. Hey, Ram, I'm good, buddy. I'm good. You? iRacing's apparently having some security issues at the moment. It's under it. It's got some DDoS. Oh, why is someone going slow there? Did someone go off briefly through turn 18? What happened there? Why is there a yellow flag for turn 18? No one's actually off circuit. I mean, Logan Sargent, the yellow flag was thrown as Logan Sargent. Oh, it is Gasly going slow. Oh, there's a red flag. It's Gasly. Gasly has brought out the red flag. He's got an issue. He's just gone past the pit lane as well. The pit lane entry is at turn 16. So what's happened to Gasly here? He's pulled over. Has he beached it? Is he locked up and beached it, or has he got a mechanical issue? It looked like he was going slow. I'm waiting for the TV coverage to catch up to see exactly what has occurred, whether that's a mechanical issue or if he's actually lost control of the car. It is a fast entry down into Val, turn 17. My TV coverage is well behind. You think that, John? I disagree. I disagree with you. I thought you was talking about Ronaldo then, not Lewis Hamilton. Just watching Gasly and see exactly what has happened. Yellow flag, then red flag. TV direction, he's not going to it. He's beached himself. He's in the gravel. Yeah, so he's gone on. His car isn't actually where it says it is on the track map. He's like here, where my mouse is. He's like gone straight on at turn 16 and beached himself in this gravel, like we saw Yuki Tsunoda do yesterday, but at Luffield. So yeah, probably just locked up. Waiting to see a replay, but waiting for Gasly and knock on Jules again. Yeah, there are definitely going to be plenty more before the season's out. That's for sure. Yeah, so sorry, going back to iRacing. iRacing apparently are having DDoS attacks at the moment. So, yeah, unfortunately, probably best to stay away from iRacing for now until they've got that fixed and got it under control. So I'm just watching him. He's coming down into turn 16. And, oh my God, the car just snaps under braking. Maybe not enough heat in the tyres. Enough temperature in the tyres as he came down. So, yeah, not enough tyre temp by the looks of it. It was going quite slowly. And the car just locked up under braking. How typical of a tradition is this for Charles? Other tracks he did well and he was cursed at his home GP. Now he ended his Monaco GP curse and the bad luck's come back to him. Yeah, it is a shame. partly due to the team, of course. Austria wasn't it? Not getting a lap in sprint race, and then they haven't made the gains. We spoke about them yesterday. That big upgrade package that they had. Well, it's not an upgrade, is it? It's not upgraded them by any means, really. They still seem to be quite slow. They've fallen off of McLaren and Red Bull's pace. And, well, you'd say Mercedes have overtaken them now. So, yeah, don't really know what the correlation is there. But, yeah, not having the desired effect, that's for sure. It's wet, Mike. Good to see you, mate. It is wet. Yes, it is a wet circuit. However, it's not raining at this moment in time. So they have been out there on the intermediates. Gasly has just brought out the red flag as he beached his car into turn 16 by locking up the wheels and spinning there. So, bit of a rookie mistake. But yeah, no, the track is drivable, that's for sure. But we'll see. If it starts raining again, will they bring out the red flag? I'm not sure, but... There we go. Oh, there we go. Track is clear. And no doubt we'll have a green flag again. And these drivers will be getting back out there and setting some more laps. Hey, Rory. Good to see you, mate. Hope you're having a good weekend. Yeah, let's see what this weekend has in store for us. So, Daniel Ricciardo, pit lane infringement. What has Mr. Ricciardo done? What has Mr. Ricciardo done? You going this weekend, Rory? You going tomorrow? In terms of VCARB, I say Yuki should leave and go to a better team if this car doesn't get better. Yes. Look, I think the reason Yuki has stayed for another year at VCARB is because there wasn't a position for him in another team elsewhere. So you're better off ensuring that you're going to stay on the grid for next year and continue that improvement. Then try and move to another team. Miss out, not stall on re-signing that new contract. Obviously, Carlos Sainz is a different situation. He's moving from a top team and potentially could be back on the cards into Mercedes. That's what he's holding out for. But yeah, we'll see. Absolutely more. I wish swimming lessons, birthday parties, and rugby. Fair enough, mate. I've got all that to come. So. What if Bianchi never crashed? Well, yeah. Because of an agreement that is in place with Red Bull as part of the severance package agreed with Red Bull to let Newey leave early, he could not announce his future intentions until September. Yeah, so the rumours are that he's going Aston. Apparently Aston have always had a very lucrative offer on the cards or on the table for Adrian Newey. So we'll see if he decides to take that on. People have always said Ferrari, but people forget that moving to Ferrari... They don't really like, supposedly, the work from home situation or the remote working. I'm sure they'd probably make special dispensation for Adrian Newey, but also the majority of their personnel speak Italian. They're very obviously in their roots in that way for a good sense. And yeah, it means at his age, he's 65, he's not getting any younger. Uprooting himself and going to Ferrari, I don't know. Maybe I've always said that that's an element that people kind of don't take into consideration. Of course, Aston Martin, I think that they're based at Silverstone, so he's been working at Red Bull. That doesn't mean he has to uproot himself. He can probably work from home, travel to the office every now and then, and he's also working on the Aston Martin Red Bull hypercar projects. So people forget that as well. There's already a current existing relationship with Aston Martin in some capacity. So, yeah. Are the Mercedes 6 films? No, not yet. Just watching Daniel Ricciardo's pit lane infringement. Daniel Ricciardo was weaving in the pit lane to warm up his tyres. What is he doing? What is Daniel Ricciardo doing? That's bizarre. Lots of rain on the way, by the way. Looking at the weather radar just there. That's very bizarre from Daniel Ricciardo. I've never seen anything like it. If AM can get Newey, can they really keep Stroll on? Doesn't make it... Well, of course they can, because Daddy owns a team. As long as Daddy owns a team, he can do whatever the fuck he likes. It pains me to say. Is that man? It was very weird. Am I a Lewis fan? I am a Lewis fan. Yeah, I'm a Lewis fan. What the hell was that, Daniel? Yeah, really odd. Red Bull makes this in-house for RB17. Anyway, let's have a look at the map time, shall we? We have drivers out on circuit. We have the 2 Mercedes. We have the 2 McLarens. We have the 2 Red Bulls. Only 1 Ferrari, though, as Carlos Sainz is still in the pit lane. So they're expecting first spots of rain now. So, yeah, let's see how wet this circuit gets and see if anyone comes into the pit lane or comes out onto the wets. But yeah, definitely going to be a wet weekend. These sessions are going to be important for these drivers to get their eye in. Most likely going to be a wet qualifying as well this afternoon. So Lewis Hamilton goes fastest in the middle sector. So this is what Hamilton will be hoping for. The rain is a nullifier, and performance isn't always. Oh, hang on, I've got to sneeze. Performance isn't always the be all and end all in the rain. Obviously, there's a lot more. You're a lot more reliant on your driver skill. As Oscar Piastri goes fastest there, well, 144. As Hamilton goes fastest, well, 144. Go on, Lewis. And then Lando smashes it with a 143.6. Oof. Lando's very quick in the rain, guys. Very quick in the rain. McLaren should not slip on. They have the fastest car now. Yes. Well, I disagree. I still don't think it's the fastest car. I think the Red Bull still is the fastest car. Just. But yeah, they're definitely strong at Silverstone. They always have been. So Lando topped every practice session thus far. Let's see if he does it again. But Yuki's got something to say about it. Oi. Go on, Yuki. We forget about Lando Russia 2021. Good old British summer, yeah. But yeah, they've it's hopefully we don't get too much rain, guys. Hopefully we don't get too much, and it means that we end up with a suspended session. Oh, yellow. Is that Bottas? Oh no, what's Bottas done? Oh, he's got going again. Did he just have a little spin? Did he just have a little spin or a little off there? There is some runoff that he can use through the X, or just, yeah, as before he enters into turn 4. George Russell, even though they said rain's on the way, is reporting the track's drying a little bit. So, but just waiting to see where Valtteri Bottas was. But yeah, we are going to see lap times get quicker as Hamilton does a 41.9. So as these drivers get more and more temperature into these tyres, we'll see, we'll see the drivers and or the lap times get quicker. Hey Mark, good to see you, mate. Which driver do I support the most? I mean, probably Lewis, but I said I support the Brits more out of anyone else. So Hamilton, Norris, Russell, Albon. I know Albon races under the tyre flag. That's kind of what I've always, who I've always supported and always want to do well. Nationality, kind of as it genuinely is, and I expect everyone to kind of like, first and foremost, probably look to support their own countrymen first. But it doesn't mean it's a necessary given that you're going to like them and want them to do well. But yeah, and I like McLaren. I like McLaren as a team as well. I want them to do well. And I do like Mercedes. So. George is not a good weatherman. Overcome remorse is driving slowly. Yeah, is it raining? Everyone keeps asking, is it raining? Yes, it's coming down again now. It's getting wetter. So I don't know what George was going on about. But it is starting to get a little bit wetter out there. But lap times are starting to get quicker because these wet tyres, or these intermediate tyres, are now up to temperature. So just watching Valtteri Bottas is off. Just having a look here. Oh, we went wide into turn 3. And then because of that, lost the car and spun it into turn 4. But you can see Charles Leclerc on one at the moment, going very quick. A 140.8 for him. He's quicker than Verstappen in the first sector. He's quicker than Oscar Piastri, quicker than Russell, quicker than Hamilton. So let's see how these lap times keep coming down on these intermediate tyres, while the weather is kind of consistent at the moment. As Lewis will be going for the first sector now. Let's see what sector time he does. Lewis does a... Where is the first sector? A purple first sector. Wow. Lewis Hamilton getting quicker. Charles Leclerc getting quicker. Look, purple in the middle sector. So this is really when you start to see, driver skill come to the forefront and make the difference. So who can win driver of the day except Norris? I think whichever Brit finishes highest up will probably win driver of the day. 800 watching. Oh, hello guys. I didn't even notice. Thank you. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. Lewis Hamilton, purple in the middle sector as well. This is going to be another purple for him. Lewis, of course, very, very well experienced here. Won his first ever Silverstone Grand Prix, his British Grand Prix, in wet weather conditions. He still says to this day, he had an interview this weekend, I think, with Martin Brundle, and he said Silverstone 2008 is still to this day his best ever drive. So, wow, 39.5. What the hell? Lewis is flying. Yeah, he still says that was his best ever drive. So, yeah. Obviously, he has the start-finish straight named after him now, Hamilton Straight. So, yeah, the only corner and only section of this circuit that is actually named after a former driver. But Lando fastest in the last sector there as well. So, yeah, interesting. We're going to see the cream rise to the top here today, guys, if the weather conditions remain as they are, especially through, especially in qualifying and tomorrow in the race. So, yeah, looking forward to that. If Lando doesn't crash or slip, yeah, it's him. Was that the wet weather race? It was Mike. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think he won by like he won by over a minute. Like he just absolutely outdrove everyone. This was on the old layout of Silverstone, where Copse Corner was the first corner, and then yeah, you had, of course, the inner section where you went under the bridge and stuff. So. Lewis had traffic on the last sector. Yeah, that time's going to get quicker. George Russell now going fastest in the first sector. Let's see who else is going to go. How about Verstappen? Verstappen looks like he's probably going to be on a flying lap as well. Oh, Piastri up at a P2, 3-4 tenths behind Lewis. Let's keep an eye on Max, who's going to go for the first sector down the end of the Wellington Straight. Is it Wellington Straight? Which one's the Wellington Straight? I forgot. Is the Wellington Straight the back straight or the middle straight? I always get the two confused. And then Verstappen, yeah, fastest in the first sector, but then that was taken away from Leclerc. I mean, look. They're just getting quicker and quicker and quicker. This is great to watch. Great to watch. Oh, let's not talk about England. Let's not talk about England. I've no idea with Southgate in charge. But purples, left, right and centre. George Russell 2 tenths behind Lewis. Interestingly, Lewis still top. Still top. But look, Verstappen's taken the middle fastest sector away. Oh, man, this is good. I don't normally get excited for a practice session, but I think you're just looking at who's up top and you're looking at how they're getting quicker in the intermediates and that. Perez, wow, just behind Lewis. Interesting. Let's see Verstappen. And Verstappen goes fastest with a 38.8, 7 tenths quicker. Made a shed load of time in the last sector there, a 27.3. And a 39.8 in the middle sector. And then Leclerc takes it back off. So yeah, the likes of Hamilton and Leclerc, they'll be hoping for wet races, a wet weekend, because I don't think their cars are quite up to pace of the Red Bull and the McLaren. So we'll see how they get on. But yeah, the thing is with the intermediates, they can just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. They don't really necessarily have to like do some long run data. But still 34 minutes left of this session as Lewis regains it. Lewis loves these conditions. It's great to see. It's great to see. But yeah, currently Hamilton P1, Leclerc second, Verstappen third, Perez fourth. Wow. I'm sure Lando, he got a bit of traffic, I think, that lap. So he backed out a bit. So we'll see if he can improve as well. But we want to see track evolution sessions. Yes. Yeah. They're the most interesting races where you have a crossover period. You have a crossover. I mean, that's me doing my crossover. But you have a crossover period, of course, where the strategy element comes into it as well. Who's going to pull the trigger first? Who's going to go onto the dry tyre? Or who's going to pit first for the wet tyre if it's like a dry to wet track or a wet to dry track, you know? Yeah, I think, look, if there's one circuit and there's one set of conditions that Lewis, I think, excels at, it's Silverstone. So, yeah. Red Bull might be back in action. Yeah, look, qualifying is going to be interesting this afternoon. Qualifying's been really close in the dry anyway. Through the last weekend at the Red Bull Ring, where Max was 4 tenths quicker. That's the largest margin. That's the biggest margin we've had for about 6-7 races for pole position. So, yeah, it was a great lap by him. Of course, he was in control of that race. Lando had a big snap through turn 2. Wow. That's why he backed out last time out. Interesting. But yeah, qualifying, once again, even in these conditions, I think is going to be super close. So, yeah, so wet weather, what it does, for those of you who are kind of unfamiliar with it, I say to an extent, because if you are newer to F1, and there's nothing wrong with that, there's no right or wrong time to get into F1. We don't gatekeep here, guys. If you're newer to F1, let's say you only started really following F1 since Drive to Survive. So what was that, 2018, 2019, I think it was, 2020? We haven't had a lot of wet weather racing. The primary reason for that is because the FIA have kind of, even before the issue we've got with too much spray now with these ground effect era cars. So we were mentioning earlier that the ground effect, because the majority of the downforce is created from the underside of the car, it's sucking all the air in, all of that moisture that's on the ground, and then displacing it out of the back of the car. So you would have seen them trying out wheel covers, trying new wet tyres to try and minimize the displacement of water, but it's not the tyres that are throwing off the large amount of water, which provides a lack of visibility. That's the main safety concern. It's just the fact, like the way the cars create their downforce. But even prior to that, in this kind of modern era of F1, the FIA have been very reluctant to have wet weather racing. We've seen race start under the safety car as a rolling start, and races delayed, and when they could have been racing. But years gone by, when the cars were smaller, they weren't throwing up as much water, and obviously safety standards have, I suppose, have changed. We saw a lot more wet weather racing, and it nullifies the performance boost that I get, or the performance hierarchy of teams. Now, of course, the best of teams are still generally towards the top, because you still need that power element, but it falls more on the driver's skill than it does the actual performance of the car. And yeah, that's why you see the likes of Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris, like these drivers who we hold with kind of a bar. I think we hold them like at a certain level above the rest. They shine through. The cream rises to the top. And yeah, I mean, look, Lewis just keeps setting fastest lap after fastest lap. Charles Leclerc is also responding as well. Lando's quite close. Max is in the pits at the moment, so maybe just saving some tyres. But yeah, or making a setup change. But yeah, it's Love it. I love it. Hope this quick post from Lewis in P3 is not an omen for bad quality. Yeah, that's true. That is true. Whatever just shows you the best, yeah. By the way, I'm 12 years old and I watched F1 since she was 9. Nice. I think that's about when I started to get into it as well. Maybe a touch younger. My granddad got me into it. I remember seeing F1 on the TV, watching it with him. Just came back here to watch Verstappen. That's all good. Everyone, every fan is welcome. Every fan of every driver and every team is welcome in this stream. However, that doesn't mean that I will not criticise anyone's driving if I deem it, in my own view and opinion, if I deem it unacceptable. Just putting that out there, including this man. Including this man. I've criticised this guy a number of times as well. So, no one is above criticism, guys. And we should be able to voice our opinions. We're able to obviously have a healthy debate and disagree with them. But yeah, that's what you'll get on this channel. That's what you'll get on this channel. So I disagree with that, Goofy. I disagree with that. In your opinion, what's the best F1 season? The best F1 season for drama was, of course, 2021. 2012 was a good season. We had so many different winners. That was a great season. I thought 2016 was a good season. Of course, Lewis didn't win, but the battle with him and Nico Rosberg, that was interesting. What do I remember from younger seasons? I see from before kind of 2008. What was the year? My years get a bit mixed up. The championship winning years of Mika Hakkinen were really good to watch. The Michael Schumacher and Fernando Alonso, the second championship that Fernando Alonso won, that was a really good championship. Michael Schumacher and Fernando Alonso going at it for most of the year as well. 2000 was it 2000? Which one was Lewis's first year? Was it 2008? 2008 was a good championship because there were 3 or 4 drivers. There was 4 drivers, I think it was, wasn't it, at the end of the season that could win the championship on the last race. It was Alonso, Hamilton, Raikkonen, and one other. I can't remember who, or maybe it was just the 3. And of course, Raikkonen won it by like 1 point, I think it was. That was a really good championship as well. Of course, Lewis bursting onto the scene. 2007? 2007. I always get confused if it was 09 or 081. 2007. Yeah, that was a really good championship. So, what was I thinking when Lewis was winning every season? So, personally, I was happy that he won. However, the racing fan in me and the F1 fan in me was like, where's the competition? I want Lewis to win, but I want him to have competition as a fan of F1. I want to see battles for the win. I don't want to see him purely dominating. I always have this, like football as an example. The Scottish League, it's always been like Celtic and Rangers. And there was that period of time where Rangers got relegated for some financial reasons. And they won the league like 10 years in a row, like every cup competition. And I just felt like really, really comfortably. And I just thought, as a fan, how much genuine enjoyment do you get out of that? Because you just know you're going to win all the time. Like there's no right, you've lost that rivalry with Rangers. You've lost that element of, are we, aren't we? And it must get boring to an extent. Because sport is about competition. And the thrill and the buzz of like how close competition can be. So, yeah. Do I watch any other race in F1? Not at the moment, really. No, I'm trying to get more into like IndyCar. I am trying to get into more kind of maybe MotoGP in the future as well. People keep mentioning MotoGP, but yeah. So, hey Connor, good to see you. 2012 World Champion Fernando Alonso. Yeah, that was a close one, wasn't it? That was a close one. Lewis Championship had competition, though, people forget. He did, Connor, yeah. I mean, there was a few where he didn't. I would say when he had when he fought Nico Rosberg, those 3 championships against Nico Rosberg, so the first 2 that he won, and then the 2016, obviously Nico retired, they were great championships. Yes, they dominated Mercedes, but there was a great inter-team battle and drama that unfolded there between them. I would say Bottas never pushed Lewis to the same level as Rosberg. And then we had, of course, Vettel take it to Lewis as well. Of course, Lewis saw off Vettel. So yeah, it wasn't as purely dominant as what people make it out to be. I would say there was probably, I think 2017 and 2019, I think it was 2019 or 2020, those were the proper dominant years of Lewis. But even then, I don't think he won more than 10 races or 12 races. I think he won 12 races once, and then he won 10 races the other time. So there was still a real mixture of other drivers winning the races, whether it be his teammate or whether it be Max, Daniel Ricciardo, Vettel, etc. But there were other winners, and what we've seen with Red Bull and Max, and credit to them because they smashed it out of the park. It's the most dominant period of F1 ever in history. We've never had a driver win that many races before. I mean, he broke his most races in one season record in 2 consecutive years. Last year, he broke his previous record, which was held in 2022. So yeah, it's a massive dominant period. You can't deny it, but look, you have to hold your hands up and tip your cap to them at the same time, because that's the aim of the game, and they did it better than anyone else. So 2020 was dominant. Lewis, that car was insane. Yeah, that was a really good. That was a W11, wasn't it? I think it was. W11 was like, isn't that like the quickest F1 car in history? The W11. Am I right? Even Sauber finished second in constructors, even though they finished third but promoted due to McLaren Crashgate. Oh yeah, yeah. Was that Spygate? McLaren was Spygate. Crashgate was Renault. With Flavio Briatore, who's now back in F1, surprisingly. God knows what Alpine are doing there. So, is the removal of DRS good for the sport? I think it will be if they make this active aero work. The active aero, where they're going to be able to change the angles on the fly of the front wing and the rear wing. That will definitely make a difference. Supposedly there's going to be a push-to-pass element as well that is implemented into F1. This is what has been proposed with the new regulations, but as we mentioned earlier on, they're still up in the air at the moment. The F1 teams are not happy, but F1 had a deadline to meet, or the FIA had a deadline to meet in regards to putting a proposal out there. I don't think we're going to see any new regs until 2027 implemented. But yeah, I think it's the end of this month is when they're supposed to put forward the agreed changes in regulations to the World Motorsport Council. I think it is the end of this month, and I don't see that happening. Everything that I've read and everything that I've seen, they're not going to come to an agreement within the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or however many weeks it is to the end of the month. I think we're still early, aren't we? So probably 3 weeks. Then there's no way that's going to happen. So yeah. Hey Andy, good to see you, mate. Is it afternoon already? Is it? It is. Wow. Losing track of time. Thanks, Christine. Thank you, buddy. Glad you're enjoying the content. If you haven't already, guys, and you are enjoying the content, please hit the subscribe button. Of course, if you're new to these watch-alongs, practice is an opportunity for us to have a proper back and forth, a chit-chat, while we try and see what's happening out on circuit. We can see that Lewis Hamilton is now out of the pit lane. I don't know what he came in to do. He's still on the same set of intermediate tyres as George Russell is currently at the top. So the Mercedes looking very good in these wet weather conditions. Verstappen did come back out, didn't he, for a brief while, but just did some long runs, I think, or a couple of runs maybe to try some setups, setup differences. But yeah, we have a bit of a chat, a bit back and forth, and then of course I go into my commentary style on for qualifying and for the race on Sunday. Not much has happened, Ty. Just wet weather conditions, drivers out there. We've had Gasly spin it into the gravel, into turn 16. We've had Bottas have a little spin and wobble through turn 4. But yeah, other than that, it's pretty good conditions out there. Wet conditions, but it's not currently raining. And yeah, they're out there. They've been out there on circuit. It is drying actually. It looks like it's drying, but it looks like it could rain any minute, as it normally is in as it normally can do at Silverstone in Britain. So qualifiers in this afternoon. Albin, qualifying is this afternoon. It will be on in just under 3 hours time. 3 o'clock, 3 p.m. Everything's going well, Mano. Thank you. Thank you. Hope you're well too. Yeah, everything's going swimmingly well. I referenced Peter Wins as a reporter. He was the Williams team manager during their World Championship runs. Was he their team manager? Wasn't he the team media manager or something, though, Scott? Is that right? Well, I could be wrong there. He could have been the team manager. I don't know necessarily what that role entailed back in their championship runs in the 90s. But I still disagree with what he said about the whole Max situation. He got the racing rules... He got the racing rules wrong within the first 30 seconds of his video. That was my observations. And yeah, you can be... There are people who have been up and down the paddocks and have been in an F1 for a long time, who still get things wrong, in my opinion. Like you see it, like Joe Sayward is very well informed, but then some of his opinions I disagree with. And so do many others about the current state of modern F1 and what we want to see and stuff. So... do I think traffic might be an issue in qualifying? Traffic's always an issue in qualifying, especially in wet weather conditions. There's always the potential as well in wet weather conditions of someone making a mistake. So getting out there early, getting those laps in is really important because someone could bring out a red flag, bring out a yellow flag, and you end up not being able to set a time or a sufficient time and going out in a qualifying session, in a session that you wouldn't expect to. No worries, game. Good to see you, mate. Sponsorship manager. Okay, sponsorship manager. So yeah, he wasn't team principal, was he? If Lewis gets into top 3 in qualifying in a wet race, he stands a very good chance of winning. I agree, Jackie. I do agree. Cream rises to the top when it's raining in regards to driver skill. This is multi-viewer, Kel. Multi-viewer. You need an F1 TV subscription, but yeah, multi-viewer. Highly recommend it. Multi-viewer is free, so the only thing you have to pay for is F1 TV. Been watching F1 since 1989. Last few seasons have had the most amount of drivers, but I am happy if they win or quality higher. Yeah, I mean, I definitely do think, Curves, that there's more likeable drivers out on circuit now. I think as well, what has probably done that is social media. You have so much more access to drivers and sportsmen's lives now that you're able to kind of ascertain whether you like someone or not. Drive to Survive has obviously helped with that also. And yeah, I think kind of with so much emphasis on PR now and stuff and not wanting to hurt brands and sponsorships, we'd very rarely see the outward and open anger and kind of discontent between drivers, I guess. It's probably the right... I mean, I think long gone are the days where you'll see Michael Schumacher storm down the pit box, the pit lane, to David Coulthard after he crashed into him at Spa. I don't think you're going to see those sort of moments anymore because that would hurt the brand. It would hurt sponsorships and things like that. They're so PR... They're so well trained in PR now as well that... Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to have a bit more spiciness back, wouldn't it, between some drivers, I guess. Maybe they are still like that behind closed doors, but definitely not in the public eye. Any truth to the rumour it's Hulk and Liam at Audi? So obviously Hulk signed. Liam Lawson, no, I don't think so. I do think it'll be an AlphaTauri at some... I hope he's in AlphaTauri next year, man. I hope he is. And there's no doubt that he's probably had discussions with Audi just to let Helmut Marko and that know, look, I have to sort myself out. I can't sit here and just wait on tenterhooks that you're going to promise me a seat. So, yeah, they've probably had discussions. But we'll see, we'll see. I think we've only got a few more weeks until silly season starts. So the rumours are fully in swing if you've read anything on Twitter yesterday. So, yeah, I think there's going to be a few quite a bit announced this. I think we're going to have a busy summer. Busy summer. Do seasons with cars from previous eras let the team upgrade them during the season? Fan attention was skyrocket. Who gets the legendary cars, etc. No, they don't do that to an extent, no. Ladies and gentlemen that ran Lotus in the 20s and was on a missed Apex a number of times. Any idea what he is up to? Oh, who was that? Not Mike Caulfield. I know who you mean. I know who you mean, Scott. I can't think of his name. They haven't had him on for a while, have they? Yeah, I'm not sure what he's up to at the moment. I think he's in Formula E. I think last I listened to that episode, he was working in Formula E. So yeah. Do I think Norris will get a Grand Slam? No, Grand Slams are tough to get. But I think he's on course. I think he's got a great opportunity of a win. But if it's raining, anything can happen, guys. Anything can happen. Vettel won't come back to F1. No. I don't want to see Vettel in F1. With respect, like, he's had his time. He had his swan song. Let's move on. Let's get some young blood in. Let's bring some new talent through. We don't just want to keep... With respect to Vettel, it was only really that last half a season when he announced his retirement that he actually really had good performances. Before that, when he went to Aston Martin, he didn't perform. He didn't really perform. So, yeah, look, he's gone. We're over that period now. Let's move on to younger, faster drivers and bring some fresh blood into the sport. It's important that it doesn't stay stagnant. Having new drivers come through and new talent and drivers who deserve to be there. Yeah, they deserve an opportunity. It's important for the sport to include that. Or to ensure that happens. So, Verstappen Russell argument is the closest thing we got. Yeah, probably. Have I watched the NASCAR Expert series? I've watched bits of it. Yeah, it was okay. It was okay. So, driver's been driving over Gasly. So they just said to Lewis, with this level of rain, we expect standing water to be increasing a little bit more. So the rain is coming down a little bit, but not too much. Not too much. Oh, Ocon nearly did what his teammate did and went into the gravel at Val, turn 17 there, or turn 16/17. 888 people. Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. Over 140 likes. Much appreciated. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, please do. That number at the top right hand of your screen is our subscriber count. Let's see if we can get that to 27,000 this weekend. We are going to be back with just over 11 minutes remaining of this FP3. We are going to be back at 3 o'clock for the qualifying session. Really looking forward to that, especially if it's going to be in similar conditions to what we've got now. But at the moment, yeah, you've got two Mercedes up top with Lewis Hamilton looking very good. We have Lando Norris there around 2 tenths behind. Carlos Sainz, Verstappen, Leclerc, Piastri, Perez. So expect to see the top 8 up there again, those top 8. But I do expect Leclerc to come through, Verstappen, Hamilton, Norris, of course. The more rain there is, the more likely we're going to see someone unexpected on pole position for tomorrow. And the likes of Lewis Hamilton definitely will be hoping, and Charles Leclerc as well, will be hoping for wet weather conditions to have an opportunity of being that person out up on the front row. Why was Gasly wasn't out to track? He spun off at turn 16 on his on his first flying lap. Tyres went up to temperature, and he locked the brakes. What do I think about the rumours of Mercedes? Verstappen and Mercedes. Do I think Kimi Antonelli? So I think the rumours are true. He's definitely been having discussions with them, or his team have anyway. But I don't think it's for next year. I think it's for 2026. I think it'd be silly to leave Red Bull for 2025 because they've still got a strong car. They're still up there. Of course, he just has more competition now because others have caught up, i.e. McLaren. But yeah, it's definitely happening. They're definitely courting him. Rumours are that Sainz has now had Toto's extended that arm to Carlos Sainz now, where he'd previously retracted it. And they think that they might keep Kimi Antonelli in F2 for another season. And then potentially promote him. So yeah, still not all sorted. We're going to get lots of confirmation in the 4 weeks that we have off with the summer break. That's for sure. It's going to be an interesting one. Can't wait for Quali Ghost. Yeah, not long to go, mate. Not long to go. Kimi will be in the next year. I mean, it's still up. It's still up for debate. I don't know. I really don't know. Only Toto Wolff knows what he's going to do, ultimately. So yeah, I think that's what Carlos Sainz. That's why Carlos Sainz hasn't announced his signature for anyone yet, because he's quite clearly been given hope that Mercedes seat is still on offer. Even if it's for a year, it's worth taking because it's a seat that he can fight for wins and podiums next year, especially with the progression Mercedes are making, rather than fighting at the back in a stake F1 car that will be Audi, and an Alpine that is still in the middle of the midfield, and Williams, which is also towards the back. So there should be eliminations for drivers. Yeah, but there's a lot of money, isn't there? There's a lot of money in it. So financial reasons make Sergio Perez as an example. He's there for a financial reason. Joe's there for a financial reason. So yeah, it's a business still, isn't it, at the end of the day? Tsunoda replaced? No, he won't be replaced. He's there for next year, but he deserves an opportunity now as well, I think, in a faster team. But the problem is there's limited spaces. Where do you go? How many sets of Inters do they have for the weekend? I'm not sure, Carl. I'm not sure. To be totally honest with you, I'm never really sure on the allocation of wet weather tyres. So someone should take the year deal and go there. Shame they don't have Haas type team to put Kimi in. Yeah. Yeah, or maybe that's what they'll do with Williams. But I think Williams don't, and James Vowles has said he doesn't want to take someone on loan. He wants someone there like permanently. He wants a solid driver partnership. He wants someone that they could potentially build a team around or with Alex Albon. And that's why the rumours are Daniel Ricciardo has been spoken about. But then Daniel Ricciardo has also, as we discussed earlier on in the stream, is coming out now. He's got a performance clause in his contract where he could still see him alongside Max Verstappen in that Red Bull seat, which is crazy. Absolutely crazy. Seems like Toto was always interested in science, but didn't want it to look like they took Ferrari's guy after Lewis switched. I don't think Toto really cares too much about that, Cora. I think he's more focused on the fact of Kimi Antonelli. He really wants to... He doesn't want to let another Max Verstappen slip through his fingertips. I think the story is he overlooked Max Verstappen when he was younger, didn't want to take him on, didn't sign him up to the junior academy. Red Bull took him on, and obviously the rest is history. So, yeah... They've seen that. They've seen what obviously they saw with Max Verstappen in Kimi Antonelli, but of course it's still early for Kimi. So yeah, maybe they're thinking we'll give him another year in F2. Maybe there's just a decision that Toto has seen, and maybe discussions with Max as well are coming to fruition. I mean, I could see what could potentially happen is Carlos Sainz in Mercedes for a year. Then Max Verstappen moves in 2026 to Mercedes, and Carlos Sainz moves to Red Bull to take the seat of Max Verstappen. I can see the next few years being quite busy in the driver market. I don't think we've had a stable year. We had the first time ever this year where every driver who was on the grid from the previous season be the same and remain in their seats. And, well, I think we're going to be... But for that, we're going to be rewarded with a couple of seasons of really interesting driver moves or busy driver market. So, no links, please. No links. Never like the gravel traps here. High chance of breaching and red flags. I don't know. I like gravel, to be honest. It clearly defines what the track limits are, and it stops drivers from just taking liberties with the concrete surface and the concrete runoffs. There's certain circuits, I think, where gravel works well, and certain circuits where they shouldn't. Like certain corners, sorry, not circuits, like certain corners and that. So, signs won't announce till after Italy round, end of August. I think it's going to be announced. It'll be announced in the summer break. That's normally when teams sort out their lineup. So, I think the summer break is really going to be interesting. I don't think we're going to have a quiet one. There's going to be plenty happening. Plenty happening with the driver market. So, track surface slippery in Sector 17, which is Val, turn 17. So 4 minutes remaining, guys. Lewis Hamilton out there just doing some long runs on this set of intermediate tyres. So he's no doubt probably feeling comfortable. What's interesting, of course, is that they've most likely got their setup dialed in for qualifying this afternoon, which will be wet, I assume. That's what the forecast is suggesting. So they'll be on a wet weather setup. And they won't be able to break that setup, of course, for Sunday. But if let's have a look one more time and see if it's moved again. But I'm pretty sure the weather's still showing it's going to be pretty wet tomorrow at Silverstone. Yes, forecast is still showing it's going to be raining tomorrow throughout the duration of the race. So it could be a full wet weather race tomorrow. Hopefully not too much so that the FIA don't postpone the race. But 4 inters, okay. I know sometimes they'll provide an extra set of intermediates. So yeah, maybe that'll be the case this weekend. I'm not sure. Toto Wolff, the Florentino Perez of F1. This is a junior team when they are now potential F1 stars, drive a few races per year. See, steady. I have an idea. Let me know if you guys think this is right or not. Can we all agree we don't overly like the sprint races? Can we agree with that? So I think, how about we make the sprint races like a third driver championship? So where you have a third driver, typically kind of like a junior driver, who they're looking to promote into the team. And they're allowed to create an extra car. And the sprint race, we've got 6 at the moment. They're looking to maybe upgrade it to 8. And they use that as the third driver championship. The sprint championship is the third driver championship, and it's a way for up-and-coming drivers or third drivers that the teams want to see. It can be current existing F2 drivers who can fight in that championship, and it gives teams an opportunity to actually see if these drivers kind of have what it takes, and it gives them real-world F1 experience rather than just these practice sessions. I think that'd be more beneficial of a sprint race than it would be of the main drivers racing in it. But I don't think affects it, because yes, exactly that, Scott, as well. Yeah, and for it to have actual implications and for teams to take it seriously, it has implications to the constructors and not the Drivers' World Championship. The Drivers' World Championship is separate. That is purely just the races. But the constructors is the sprint racing with the junior drivers or the third driver and the main races. I think that would make F1 so much more interesting. Give me more sprints and less cars driving around the track. The drivers would protest that, especially late in the season. They won't risk damaging the car. No, I mean, they'd have to have the cost cap increased where they could have an extra car, potentially. I know it's a lot of money. They used to make 3 cars anyway in years gone by. Obviously, they're not as expensive to make now, but I don't know how they'd work it out, like increase the cost cap to allow for it. I don't know. A sprint championship reserve drivers would help with transition. I think so, yeah. Put the slowest drivers in the fastest cars and vice versa, and then see what happens. Yeah, it is brilliant, Kel. It's a great app. It's a great app. We don't get all the functions over here in F1. We don't get the functionality that you got, that F1 TV does over the course of the world because we're limited by commercial rights with Sky and stuff. But yeah, this is still great. So checkered flag, everyone. That is FP3 over and done with. Let's have a run through this wet weather FP3. Everyone using the intermediate tyres. We have George Russell in P1, just ahead of his teammate by less than half a tenth. Lando Norris in P3, Sainz P4, Verstappen in P5, Charles Leclerc P6, Piastri is 7th, Alonso 8th, Perez 9th, Hulkenberg 10th, Albon 11th, Lance Stroll 12th, Sargent 13th, Tsunoda 14th, Bottas 15th, Ocon 16th, Magnussen 17th, Ricciardo 18th, Zhou 19th, and Pierre Gasly in 20th, where he beached his car and didn't get to set a lap time throughout the whole session. So yeah, really not good for Gasly because he's had no wet weather running at all, and that could really put him at, well, will put him at a massive disadvantage come qualifying this afternoon. So rain, Akano, rain. Let's have a look. Rain. It's rain from a low percentage of rain, 46% at 3 o'clock, 37% an hour later. So I think we're going to have similar conditions to what we've just seen there, where it's going to rain now between... It's going to rain from now till qualifying, I reckon. And then we're going to have like a slippery surface, intermediate tyre surface come qualifying. So that's what I think anyway. Do I think we could get a Ferrari podium? Maybe. With wet weather, anything could happen, guys. Anything could happen. Remember the decent super sub drivers in the 2000s era? Pedro de la Rosa? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I look like Sylvester Stallone in 480p. I'm better looking than Sylvester Stallone. I read somewhere that Max has an extension in his contract with Red Bull till 2028. Don't know if the rumour is true. It wouldn't surprise me if there's an option in there for it, Ashpack, but I don't think he's going to take that now. And no doubt, look, there's so many clauses and so many stipulations in contracts. Even if they sign an extension, there's probably something in there that allows him to leave Red Bull if they don't perform to a certain standard and all this and stuff, vice versa. Like, yeah, so just because someone signs a contract doesn't mean that they can't get out of that contract. They would have had release clauses put in there for a number of release clauses in there. So, to protect themselves, their best interests. Is Alonso car purposely being set up to allow Stroll better chance? I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. So, in qualifying, there might be incidents or crashes of yellow spawning. Yes, exactly. It's, track position is going to be key in qualifying because, yeah, with these drivers pushing it. And we saw with Pierre Gasly, if you don't have those tyres up to temperature and your outlap is compromised, then, yeah, you could have an off quite easily, quite innocuously. But they're doing their standing starts now. But, yeah, really intriguing to see Lewis Hamilton up there and George Russell in these wet weather conditions. Still think Lando. Of course, we don't know what fuel loads they're running as well, what engine modes they're running, what battery mode they're running. So many different variables that could be contributing to these lap times or lack of lap time. So yeah, but we don't have long to find out until qualifying, which will be happening in 2.5 hours time, guys. But who are you going for pole position? From what you've seen in these conditions, who are you going for pole position, guys? Who do you think is going to be pole this afternoon? I'm still going Lando, but I think we're going to see a good performance in quali from Lewis. So no risk, Scott. My sim racing schedule. Is not doesn't exist this weekend, unfortunately. I'm very busy this weekend, so yeah, it will be back Monday most likely. Is when my sim racing I'll be back sim racing. So yeah. Do I think Lando's a chance to win the championship title? No. I think the title's wrapped up. Mathematically, Max can still lose the title. But I don't think Max is going to have the lack of performances, and I don't think he's going to not finish races for Lando to make up the necessary points. I mean, I think he's 70 points behind, so that's just under 3 race wins that he is behind Max Verstappen. Yes, there's 12 races remaining, but if Max is able to finish a race without incidents, he's going to be finishing in the top 3, isn't he, to be honest with you? Because it's only the 2 McLarens that can properly go at him at the moment. The Mercedes and the Ferraris aren't quite there. This weather condition is a bit different, so maybe they'll be able to. As we said, rain is the great nullifier, but yeah, I don't think he's going to catch him, no. It's all about next year, but we've got intriguing races throughout. That's the main thing. We don't know. We still don't know, turn up to every race weekend at the moment, who's going to win. And that's great. That's all I care about. I've been so devoid of that for the last 3 years. Like, let's relish this for what it is, and then let's hope for a championship battle next year. But yeah, I've already accepted that Max is championship winner for this year, so... Bit of trivia, the last time Max Verstappen lost 2 races consecutively was the 2022 Great Britain, followed by Austria. Huh? Is it 81 points now? Is it 81? I thought it was 70. Oh, well, there you go. It's more than 3 race wins. So, yeah, that's a lot. That is a lot for him to catch up. And I don't see Red Bull having, 1, the mechanical issues for that, and 2, Max having those issues out on circuit. So... yeah, Hamilton wins. Yeah, if there's 1 circuit and 1 combination with track conditions, it'd be this one, wouldn't it, for Lewis Hamilton, where you'd expect him to turn up, shall we say. Max can lose. Yeah, he can, but I don't think he's going to get caught up in those crashes. And let's be honest, if he does get caught up in a crash, the only person I think he's going to have a crash with is Lando, and they'll be fighting it out for the win anyway. Or fighting it out for P2, P3, you know, like they'll be fighting it out for the top positions. And if they crash, it's more likely that Lando will end up crashing as well, and he loses just as many points as Max. So, yeah. I don't see it happening because Max isn't starting from 8th or 9th, is he? And not getting caught in like the midfield or having to overtake those cars ahead of him. So, Max, Lando, and Russell top 3. Interesting. It's going to be like Canada, Mert will be closer. True, yeah, I forgot about Canada. Yeah, it could play into their hands, definitely. Red Bull the fastest car on high fuel, and McLaren fastest on low fuel, which would make for interesting races. Yeah, it has been, yeah. Yeah, it really comes alive, that McLaren on low fuel, doesn't it? Really. Yeah, look, rain, anything can happen in the rain, though. Especially at a circuit like Silverstone, where you got fast, high-loaded corners. Someone just misjudges it slightly, even though these are some of the best drivers in the world. They're only human, they do make mistakes, so. Could I show? Yes, I can, Paradox. Yeah, let's have a look at the sector times. So, oh, hang on. Here we go. This is the sector leaderboard, guys. Sector 1, 2, and 3. Let's just bring that out. And we can see here that, well, Hamilton is second fastest in the first sector. Fastest in the second sector, and third fastest in the last sector. Lando Norris having a bit of a poor first sector. Not poor really. He's just a few tenths down on Hamilton and George Russell in that first sector, but really gets it back in the middle and last sector. So Lando, yeah, not entirely sure why he was a bit slow in that first sector compared to the Mercedes. Maybe it was just a bit of traffic or something. I don't know. But yeah, definitely looking good, Lando, as well. Don't write him off at all. I think so, Mark. Yeah, I do think so. Maybe quali Red Bull maybe the Red Bull can suffer in quali. I think Max is still going to be up there. Max is good in the rain. The Red Bull's still good. It's going to be a tight quali, though. It's going to be a very tight quali. Strategy by constructors would be to be more aggressive to cause mistakes from Max. Lando has to be kind, hence it's on now, shoulders out. But yeah, of course I do. Do you think Tsunoda would do a better job than Perez in the lead for the Red Bull team? Yes. Short answer, Matt. 12 races to go. A win advantage is you 7 points per race. That makes it very tight math, and Lando would need the help of... Exactly. Yeah, I think you need like at least 2 DNFs from Max, and you also need to maximise your race, like your points as well. And I'm not sure the McLaren... Would Lando be able to do that still? I mean, he's learning, of course, potentially. But yeah, the problem is that it's almost out of your control. You've got to hope that Max has DNFs to bring you back into the championship. So yeah, whenever in sport, whenever it's out of your control, yeah, it's the worst thing. It's what you don't want to be doing. It's leaving it into other people's and other teams' hands. Top pedal for the medal for Lando, yeah, saving the car and rocket distance. Yeah, exactly. The consistency of the show is unmatched. Oh, and Gasly. What about Gasly? Logan Sargent wasn't too bad, by the way. Where did Logan finish in that? 13th in FP1. Interesting. The Williams not too bad, actually. Albon up there in P11. Ah. Matt's very hard DNF without Norris DNF. Exactly, Paradox. Yeah, that's what I was saying. So, is his last practice? It is, yes, his last practice, and it was wet, guys. It was wet. I know, Vikra. I saw that. Most McLaren to hope for is the constructors. Yeah, that's true. 1,000 likes. Oh no, we're far away from 1,000 likes, aren't we? 170 likes, but still 547 people in the stream. I think we peaked at like, how many viewers did we peak at? Just under 1,000, I think we did, which is great for a practice session. But yes, guys, I am now going to go set up the next stream. I am going to chill just a little bit, and we will be back for qualifying in 2 hours time. I'll be live 15 minutes before Quali gets up and running. So I'm going to set that up. But yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. Could we have another Canada-esque style race on our hands? I didn't even think that in my head. Obviously, the Mercedes did well in those conditions. And look at them again. Top of FP3. And, of course, at a circuit that Lewis Hamilton likes very well. I mean, look at that. 3 Brits. Yes, British bias. 3 Brits at the top of FP3. Wow. Amazing. But yeah, let's see if it's the same order come qualifying. It's going to be intriguing. Also, Daniel Ricciardo's incident. We'll see if that gets a penalty. Very bizarre. Weaving in the pit lane. You get a chance to look at it on Twitter. Don't know what he was doing, and he was coming into the pit box as well. Seemed very strange. Very strange. So. Yeah, Max did DNF in Australia, but I mean that's their first mechanical failure in over 2 years. That's a long time without any mechanical failure, and I just don't see Red Bull having them again. I mean, not many teams have mechanical failures now. They're so reliable. So gone are the years where we had reliability issues in F1. So, but yeah, have a lovely couple of hours, guys. Go get refreshed, have a cup of coffee, have some lunch, dinner, breakfast, wherever you are in the world, and yeah, we'll be back in 2 hours time for what no doubt is going to be a very intriguing qualifying. I think I'm going to go watch the F2 if it's on. I think the track conditions are fine for F2. Let's go see how F2 gets on to kill the time. But yeah, we'll be back in a few hours time, guys. So hit the like and subscribe button one more time, turn those notifications on. I'm going to set the stream up so that you can bookmark it and have it ready for that qualifying session. So we'll see you then. Bye.